Hey everyone, okay, so today's tutorial is on eye shape and finding your eye shape, because unless you're doing a standard eyeshadow application, which is just like a shadow over the eyelid and mascara, if you're going to do more advanced things like smoky eyes, contoured eyes, cat eyes, whatever you want, then you may need to know your eye shape, because things need to be altered as you go along, and knowing your eye shape is very important. First one we're going to do, and there'll be lots of visuals so you can see different eye shapes. The first one is the standard eye, and that's my eye shape. A standard eye shape, let me get closer, see red, shower. Anyway, a standard eye shape means that you can see the eyelid all the way across when the eye's open, and they're not too far apart, which means my eyes aren't more over here, and they're not too close together, meaning they're more near the bridge of the nose. That's a standard eye. With the standard eye, you can do pretty much whatever you want. It's a relatively good eye shape to have, I suppose. They're all good, depends on your preference, but this is a standard eye. The second eye is a hooded eye, and there are two sort of kinds of hooded eyes. The first is a hooded eye that you are born with, sometimes referred to Asian eye, almond eye, and these are ones you're born with. With those sort of eyelids, you can do almost anything you want, despite people saying otherwise, because you have this whole flat plane here where you can do anything with. And this means you can put shimmers, you can put golds and glitters, whatever you want, and they can go right the way up to the brow if you want, because it still looks amazing. So if you've got that kind of eye shape, you're lucky. It's completely flat, you can do almost anything you want with it. It's amazing. The second hooded eye is a hooded eye that's acquired through age. That's one that happens as we get older. The crease of our eye here drops, and it starts to cover our lid. There can be something like a partial hooded eye, which means that this part here covers the lid, but you still see the eyelid here in the inner eye, or it can be completely covered. Very important to know with a hooded eye. Quick tip: never, ever, 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 if you've got a hooded eye that's come through age, put shimmer right the way across here on the crease, because anything that's shiny, you're drawing the eye to it, and you are drawing attention to the fact that it's a hooded eye, and that may not be something you want to do. Matte colors tend to look better in the crease of the eye on a hooded eye. Another thing to remember is to highlight the tear duct area around the tear duct and this inner portion of the eyelid if it's available to you, because that opens the eyes up and makes them look really, really pretty. I mention some of these tips when I'm doing my eyeshadow tutorials as well, and I've just filmed one on classic eye, which suits every eye shape. The next eye shape are close-set eyes, and close-set eyes means that the eyes are closer together to the bridge of the nose. The one thing you need to remember with this eye shape is not to really put anything dark right here, because you are drawing attention to the fact that they're very close set. What you want to do is keep this area light and shiny. That's fine, because it pulls them apart. And you also want, when doing like a smoky eye or anything dark, you want to make the color pull out slightly, so we're visually pulling the eyes apart. And I'm going to make sure that I mention all of this in future tutorials as well. Now the next thing is wide set eyes. Wide set eyes means that they are further back here. Kate Moss is a great example of wide set eyes. They're very wide apart. Wide set eyes are considered the most beautiful of all eye shapes. No idea why, that's the way it is. I don't buy all that stuff. But with wide set eyes, you can do pretty much whatever you want. Bear in mind that the further you pull your eyeshadow out and up, the further back they're going to look, and you don't want your eyes to look like they're here, okay? It's not nice. So you can bring the darker colors, especially with smoky eyes, really right the way into here, because you have that space to do that. Wide set eyes are great because you can do whatever you want with them as well, but don't bring them too far out. And remember, you can have such a thing as a close set hooded eye or a wide set hooded eye. So, there's lots of different variations. The next one is what's called a downturned eye. And a downturned eye means that the outside corner of the eye goes down and looks a little bit sad. Now, the best thing to do with this is when you're applying your eyeshadow to your eyelid, let's just say you're just going to do a standard, just one sweep across the eye. Let's say it's something relatively light. Do it across the eye, start from the inner corner, work your way out, but stop like a quarter, just stop just a tiny bit before the eye starts to droop. Don't worry, it's not going to look weird and cut off. Then when you curl your eyelashes and put your mascara on, it gives the illusion of a lifted eye. Another way to do it when you're bringing colours up into the crease is, do you remember that trick I said about a sponge to put it here and you're drawing this little line? If not, click the video. And what this does is you always want to kind of create a harder line here because it pulls it up. And I prefer a kind of hard line here, squared off sort of eyeshadow look, because I think that it really lifts the eyes up. Most people want to lift the eye up. So that's what you need to do if your eyes are sort of drooping and a little bit sad looking. The next ones are deep set eyes. And a deep set eye means that the eyelid goes right the way back. It almost looks like it goes right the way back into the skull. And with deep set eyes, you have this huge lid space here. Now, one of the worst things you can do, unless you're doing a smoky eye, is to put something really dark just on the eyelid, because you are basically, you know, look like you've got two black holes in your head. It's not a pretty look unless you're doing a smoky eye, which is balanced because you're doing it all the way around. So on a deep set eye, always keep the eyelid light and shiny if you can, because it's nice, it brings them forward at you. And when you're doing crease work, remember that with crease work, you do not ever sort of put the brush right into the socket of the eye and do that, because again, you're pushing this dark back. You don't want that. Your brow bone is very, very prominent, so you want to put the contour color on the actual brow bone itself, not inside that socket, because if you go inside, you are just basically screaming, I've got deep set eyes, and we don't want that. So there's a whole different case of eye shapes and all that kind of thing. Bear in mind, you can't have a deep set hooded eye because the two don't go together. As you get older with deep set eyes, they tend to go further back into your head, it looks like, and therefore the crease becomes more prominent, the brow bone, so it doesn't hang down. Deep set eyes are absolutely gorgeous, and they can be brought out like you wouldn't believe. Prominent eyes is the last one, and a prominent eye means you have very, very large eyes, and sometimes they can tend to protrude and come out at you. One of the things you can do to minimize this, if that's what you want, is to look at matte colors. You can always highlight the inner tear duct because it's always pretty to do that on all eye shapes. But at the same time, if you lighten your lid, you are again drawing attention. Learning contouring and highlighting is the best thing you can do, because what you lighten will come out at you and what you deepen will recede away from you. So putting a more matte sort of browny color, or any color you want, anything matte that doesn't draw attention to the light, will make that area appear less sort of protruding and out at you. I love protruding eyes, I think they're so sexy, but you know, each to their own. We've all got things about our faces we don't want, we don't like, but learning how to play them up and to change them is great. And with protruding eyes, bear in mind about the matte shades, but remember, you can do anything you want with them, but at the same time, think matte colors. And yes, you can have a hooded protruding eye, absolutely. So the same comments apply. I hope you found this a little bit useful, and pictures and everything else. And I will try and explain different, when I'm doing eyeshadow tutorials, I'll try and explain all the different variations you may need for your eye shape as well. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.